Hello, now we're going to look at Protist Part 2, the plant-like protist. Plant-like protists have chlorophyll. They need this chlorophyll in order to make their own food. These organisms are not able to engulf or eat food, so they have to have the chlorophyll in order to make their own. Of course, because they have chlorophyll, they're carrying out the process of photosynthesis. These organisms can live in 4 different environments: freshwater or saltwater or soil or tree bark. Protists, especially those that are living in the ocean, but also the ones that live in the various 4 other freshwater areas, produce large amounts of oxygen that are used by other living organisms. In fact, they actually are the largest producer of oxygen that we have on the earth. The plant-like protists are grouped according to the color and structure. We have euglena, we have diatoms, we have dinoflagellates, we have red dinoflagellates, and we have green algae. The euglena are an interesting little protist. They have the flagellum that we looked at earlier, this whip-like tail. They also have a little red spot, which not real easy to see here, but you can see it almost looks brown. Some of them are a little easier to see than others. And let's see, we're not going to watch the video today. Okay. They're one-celled algae, basically, that moves with a flagellum, and there's the flagellum. They live in fresh water. They reproduce asexually. They have the red eye spot near the front. Why would they need to find light? What is it? Why would they have to find light? Okay, and there's the red spot. They have chlorophyll that can make their own food, so therefore they're called an autotroph. All right, again, looking at the euglena, there's the disc-shaped chloroplast. That's the site of the photosynthesis. Another one is called a diatom. Many of these diatoms live in salt water. Some also live in fresh water. They're a food source for many water-dwelling organisms, even things like the baleen whales ingest huge, tremendous amounts of diatoms. The cell is covered up by 2 overlapping parts, kind of like a box with a lid. And the material that makes up these outside parts is made of silica, kind of like glass. And these do not decay. So they collect at the bottom of the ocean and such. They're also, you find them mixed in with sand, and they're used for toothpaste and scouring powders and filters and so forth. Dinoflagellates is our next group, and you can see the dinoflagellates have all sorts of odd, peculiar looking shapes here. They're usually found in the oceans. They're usually brown or red in color. They have hidden chlorophyll due to the dark pigments. In other words, they really still have the green chlorophyll, but this red and brown pigments that they have kind of hides that green. They move usually by 2 flagella, not just 1. The red dinoflagellates, and you can see here the red discs, the red parts of the cell that give them that color. When they produce in large numbers, this is what turns parts of the ocean red, not the entire ocean, but parts of it. And this is what we refer to as the red tide. These red dinoflagellates also produce a chemical that kills thousands of fish. Any fish that goes through this area of the red tide will kill the fish. Now, if humans eat those fish that have been caught in that area, then they absorb those same chemicals, and it can make humans very ill. These red tides and the dinoflagellates are very common off the coast of Florida. We've also had them off the coast of North Carolina as well. Okay, here's some pictures of a red tide. And you can see here the water, this area of the water that's red. And this area looks kind of orange or brown, but this is lots and lots of the red dinoflagellates in those areas. And then there's a picture of a skate that was caught in a red tide area, absorbed a lot of these red dinoflagellates, and of course it disoriented it and it died. All right, the green algae like the Spirogyra, which are always interesting to see under the microscope. These can either be unicellular or multicellular. They produce oxygen in water. Remember your chemistry here, O2, 2 atoms of oxygen, and this is the formula for water. They serve as food for fish, snails, and crayfish. They're usually found in colonies, in other words, lots of them living together. And we also have other types of green algae, including the desmids and the chlorella. We have volvox. Volvox are another one of those that's real interesting to see in the microscope. They are a colony or a group of cells that are living together, and they all orient themselves so that those along the outside have their flagella facing outwards. So it almost looks like they have cilia, but it's all in individual flagella that are all just kind of arranged together. And this is what spins them through the water. Another example of plant-like protists are the brown algae or seaweed. And these are obviously multicellular, and they can become very, very large in the oceans, and they are used by people for food. They're also used to thicken things like ice cream and jelly. And there's our picture of some mixed algae. And now I would like for you to write these questions and their answers in your notes. List the 3 main groups or types of protist. Give 2 examples of animal-like protist. What are sporozoans, and give 1 example. List the 3 structures protozoans use for locomotion. List 5 plant-like protist. And why are algae important? And explain why red tides occur and what causes them.